Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are doing well today. Before we start, I would like to say hello to some colleagues of ours, journalists, spokespeople, who are visiting us today for the first time, I understand. They will be with staff afterwards, and they came all the way from China. So thank you very much, Xie. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. And also, I have to say hello to Harrison Arubu from the News Agency of Nigeria. He joined the UN correspondents family on Monday, 29th of April. So welcome, Harrison. The GA is hosting two closed informal meetings on the Intergovernmental Negotiations today and tomorrow, 2nd of May, on the question of equitable representation on and increase in the membership of the Security Council and other matters related to the Council. This is the fourth informal meeting on this matter to take place during the current GA session. Member states will meet under the co-facilitation of the Ambassador of Luxembourg, His Excellency Christian Braun, and the permanent representative of the United Arab Emirates to the UN, Her Excellency Lana Zaki Nusseibeh. Both co-facilitators or co-chairs of the Intergovernmental Negotiations on Security Council Reform, IGN, are expected to lead discussions by member states to identify any perceived gaps in how positions are reflected so far and provide suggestions for clarification. In a letter which was sent by the President of the General Assembly to member states, the Ambassadors of Luxembourg and the United Arab Emirates said that all discussions during the meetings this week will feed into the outcome of the IGN process for the current session. More information on our website, www.un.org/PGA/73. And on Friday, 3rd May, the General Assembly, in cooperation with the mission of Sri Lanka, will host a commemorative event for the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks in Sri Lanka on 21st April. In a letter, the GA President, Ms. Maria Fernanda Espinosa, informed that the event will take place from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the General Assembly Hall. Ms. Espinosa invited chairs of regional groups in the United Nations, member states, and observers to deliver statements expressing their condolences to the people of Sri Lanka, as well as offering reflections on strengthening their resolve and cooperation to fight terrorism and prevent violent extremism. And finally, this morning, Ms. Espinosa met the Director of the Americas Division at the Department of Political and Peacebuilding Affairs, Ms. Laura Flores. Later, the PGA received in her office the Vice President of the Austrian Parliament, Her Excellency Ms. Doris Burers. This afternoon, Ms. Espinosa will have separate bilateral meetings with Ambassador Tijani Mohamed Bande of Nigeria and the permanent representative of Ghana, Her Excellency Marta Pobi. The PGA will also meet the Rector of the United Nations University, Dr. David Malone. This is all from us today. Do you have any questions? You do? Go ahead. Margaret.
Monica, I asked you about a week ago about the PGA, her expenses. There was the issue in Ecuador about her expenses, $500,000 a year, and the rent $17,000 a month. And you were going to look into it, but I was wondering if you had found anything out further on that.
No, in fact, I did, and I brought the answer for you the next day, so you have that. You have that on the files as well. And basically, what I said today, the last week actually, when you asked me, and what I have to say today is the same. The state where the PGA comes from has the responsibility to provide the accommodation and salary. So the PGA is also appointed by the head of state as the head of her country's delegation to the current GA session of the UNGA. So basically, that's the responsibility of her state.
But do you have nothing on the actual numbers?
No, you have to check with the state. Thank you. Linda, go ahead.
Thank you, Monica. I'm sorry if I missed this, but I was just wondering what the latest is in terms of the PGA's touching base with the Venezuelan ambassador here. Has there been contact, phone calls, meetings, or whatever?
Yeah, the PJ is actually, Linda, following very closely the situation in Venezuela. She has been talking to several interlocutors in this process, of course, representatives of the country. She also has following recent developments, as we all have been following. I'm referring to the latest political developments in Venezuela with great concern. And she calls upon all relevant parties to find political solutions to this situation, to avoid further escalation of tensions, violence in the country, and to focus urgently on the need for peace and stability. I think one of the elements that Mrs. Espinosa has highlighted since this crisis started, or basically since she took office as the PGA, is that we have to focus on the Venezuelans, on the people, on their needs, on the millions of women, men, children, of young people, of elderly people that are right now suffering under the crisis that was imposed on them. So it's the need of the Venezuelans and their well-being that she's very concerned about. And yes, she's following closely the situation. This morning she met with the director of the Americas Division of the department, as I just read, and this was on the agenda as well. Yes. Celia, go ahead.
Thank you. I have two questions. The first one is, has she been in touch with the opposition, the Guaido part of this crisis? Is she taking one side or the other? Yesterday, the ambassador of Venezuela said that the Secretary General should support Nicolas Maduro because the government of Venezuela that he represents and who is here in the United Nations accredited. So he said he did not agree with the presentation yesterday by Stefan when he said that they're talking to both parties and is not taking one side or the other. And then the other part is you said the Venezuelans have been imposed to this situation just now. My question is that because of the decisions in the government, or is referring to sanctions by the United States?
No, when you talk about the crisis, you are actually talking about the crisis itself, the crisis that is happening, that has been happening for several years, and of course the effects of this crisis, the outcome on the Venezuelan people, that's what we're talking about. In regard with the ambassador not agreeing with my colleague Stefan Dujarric or disagreeing, I would rather refer you to Steph, who will certainly be able to explain what he meant. But taking sides, not at all. No, I think the PJ has been very clearly stating that she is somebody who comes from the region. Of course, she is. Everybody knows that. This is also an advantage because she knows the region very well. But she is listening to all arguments across the board. And her recommendation, her appeal, is that we should see ways and means of seeking a dialogue, an effective, an open dialogue to build trust and to end this crisis once for all. That's what she's saying.
Has she reached out to anybody from the opposition, the Guaido representatives?
The PGA received, of course, several requests from all over the world for meetings. She has been attending, she has been actually responding to requests to meet with everybody who requests meetings with her and to talk about relevant issues. That's what we have to say. But thank you very much. I see Steph is already there. Thank you. I thank you all for being here today. And I see you tomorrow at the same time. And thank you also for your coverage yesterday of the Steph. Please, go ahead. Thank you.